We're back. We'll introduce you to our guests in a moment. There's no point running through newspapers. There's only one story in town today, and that is that we're back with serious concerns from my perspective. Andy's absolutely delighted. Let me explain. I think that the Premier League have swapped a whole set of manageable problems for a huge number of unmanageable problems, and I'm uncomfortable that we've rushed back at this point, whilst the British government is saying might ease lockdown restrictions, might ease social distancing, might open pubs. We're rushing headlong into putting football back on. For me, it remains too soon, and I'll tell you why. And I didn't want to say this at any other point, but I will now. When you've been in the place I have, when you've woken up from an operation you didn't expect to, when you have quite literally faced death, and there are others around who are still in Petrov, I noticed today, saying no, too soon. Andy Cole yesterday, who recently found out how fragile life is, saying no, thank you. Troy Deeney, whose family have suffered probably more than most, and N'Golo Kante, who's still training on his own at Chelsea, got concerns. You can keep football safe. You can create an environment in which Premier League players can play, Andy. But beyond that, can you guarantee the safety of the technicians that will put it on? People like myself that will sit in front of it and watch it. You're bound to have gatherings of people in houses, inevitably, to watch football matches. What's the point of watching football on your own? There isn't any. And let me tell you something else. My information is that Liverpool's next 2 games, I know you do because you've got to at the moment, but that's not true. Liverpool's next 2 games are likely to be played at Wembley. That's the derby against Everton. It should have been played at Goodison. And this information I think you'll find confirmed this weekend, and the game against Manchester City. The thinking is, and I can't get my head around this, Liverpool fans won't go out onto the street to celebrate a title win if that's the case. 2 things. 1, it's a presumption that they win those matches to get over the line. And 2, I guarantee you, there will be thousands on the streets of Liverpool the night that Liverpool win the title, because it's inevitable that there will be. 30 years, it's something special in the history of that club. The title should be won for me, with or without fans at Anfield, because that's where the players play. It's home. And I understand that there'll be thousands marauding up and down the Anfield Road. For me, inevitable. So that's amongst the unmanageable problems that the Premier League, police and the authorities have created for themselves. That's my small piece. I now hand over the lectern to my friend.
Listen, there's not a perfect solution to this. I'm delighted that the Premier League is going to start again. I want it to finish. I've been an advocate of it finishing, but not if it had been deemed by people who are much more intelligent than I, who know more about this pandemic than I do, who know more about this horrendous virus, who make the decisions. They make the decisions. Now, there's a collection of people, the LMA, the PFA, the Premier League, the government, the medics, who have all been consulted and have all had dialogue with each other. And they've come to the conclusion that, in their opinion, we should finish and it's safe to do so. That's been passed on to the footballers. Yes, there are some who have concerns. I get that. And so does everyone, Richard. I don't think anyone would say anything to any footballer who turns around and puts his hand up and says, I don't want to play, I don't feel safe. Right?
This is an anemic version of the conversation, Andy, and
well,
I
it has to be anemic. It has to be anemic.
Really lively.
It has to be anemic. But all those decisions are made. So then, when the authorities say, we think we can go ahead with this because we're taking this, and this, these precautions, then it's up to them to take it to the footballers, which they've done. And the footballers, including Troy, who's now going to be back training, so he's had his thought, and he's sat down and thought
safe
about it,
houses,
and
Andy.
he's been told.
No problem.
And he's been
Football will
told.
be safe
But what
as
I'm saying
houses.
is, Richard, that's where we are with this, as far as I can see.
All
now,
I would
am
say-
I happy it's back? Yes. It might not be perfect. Of course it's not. It might be, as some people say, an anemic version of the sport we love. Yes, it probably will be for a bit. But I still want to see it out. There are people who have been confined to their houses for 9 weeks, desperate to have something to look forward to, and give them something to lift somebody. Now, if it doesn't work, if it goes wrong, then fine, close it down. But I don't think we should not try.
I think they talk about integrity, there isn't any. It's a rush for cash.
I don't
There's
think
no
we've
two ways
rushed.
about that.
I don't
think
think we've
players
rushed.
will be absolutely rock solid safe. It's the effects, the ripple effects thereof, and the same government that said Atletico Madrid can come to Anfield and let's run Cheltenham.
Those decisions are for a different time. Yeah.
That's where I think we should leave it, because we haven't got the time.
No, and
Because
it's wasting it on our
We are
guest.
wasting it on a guy who,
A little big man, I think. Yeah.
for me, the nicest, no, one of two really nice people I've met in football. And that's a terrible word because it doesn't.
So
do him
me and
justice.
who else?
Bob Wilson.
Yeah.
Bob Wilson.
Yes.
And Gianfranco Zola.
Yeah.
Who was our guest this morning.
Yeah. Yes.
Gianfranco.
Yes.
Very good morning to you two guys. It's
I
always
think I would go as far, Jan, as to say Jan's the nicest Sardinian I've ever met. Because he's the only one I've ever met.
It's actually quite interesting that though, Jan, isn't it? Because as a Sardinian, you do, as an island, consider yourselves independent-ish from Italy?
kind of. I think we are very, very jealous of our identity, our character, our personality, and sometimes our personality, our character collides with with the personality of the mainland. So yeah, we like to have our own identity, and very proud of it.
How has lockdown been in Sardinia for you, Jan?
It's been very good actually, because luckily Sardinia is one of the places in Italy that is being hit the least. So we didn't have a lot of cases. Actually, now we've been we've been COVID-free for nearly more than one week. So
Good.
The good thing about Sardinia is that is one of the biggest islands in the Mediterranean, but there are only 1.5 million people living. So the population is quite spread out, and so there haven't been many problems. The ones that we had, they've been dealt very well, to be honest.
Good. Well, let's get down to the football. We've spent the last 5-6 weeks, Andy, I can't remember,
More.
just reveling in memories with people, Jan. So let's start at the time you joined us in England, if we may. What was it, or how was it, that a washed-up 29-year-old had the best 10 years of his career and went on to become voted as Chelsea's best ever at that period of his life?
Well, I think I don't know, to be honest, some of the things they happen, and they happen like some things like magic, you know. It's something that a combination, a cohesion that is perfect. It works well for both, and so the relationship grows very, very well. Like you know, I came when I came to Chelsea, I was going through a difficult moment with Parma, with football, because it was just after the Euro '96 with Italy. We didn't do very well. I didn't do very well, and that affected me very much. So I came back to the next season, and we started, and it was a struggle. So there was the need to change, and when this opportunity came to join Chelsea, I did it, and for me it was like I was reborn in football-wise. Honestly, it was a bless.
Do you know,
It was a
Jan,
bless. Yes.
What I'm thinking as well, Jan, when you came into a league as a 5'6", 5'7". What are you? 5'6"? Yeah, you are.
Yeah, maybe.
You came into this English league, which was renowned. The league was renowned for power.
Yes.
You know, you got your Vieiras, Roy Keanes of this world. You know, Manu Petit, big 6 foot plus people, and they were all in the midfield area of the football pitch. And yet here you come in, this diminutive little Italian. People were saying, maybe I was one of them. Oh, he's going to find it tough to survive in this league. Yet you didn't. Why?
Well, first of all, this is related to, is one of the most important parts. It's been always one of the most important parts of my career. I always based my career on my strengths. Okay, I knew that I wasn't the tallest. I knew I wasn't the strongest, but I knew how to be quick and how to be smart. That's how I developed my football skills. So when I came to England, yes, I had a big disadvantage on a physical point of view. From the physical point of view, I couldn't compete with them. So I had to be clever, and I used one thing that I got an edge on the defenders, because when I was playing a striker, I used to drop all the time in between the lines. And in those years, the defenders weren't used to play against like that. No, it's true. It's true.
It's a modern. But the reason I say that to Andy, Jan, we joke often, Andy and myself, about the modern day game and the phraseology that goes with it between the lines. You know, Andy played in a 3 at Aston Villa in the 70s at the top end of a field. I mean, Peter Beardsley we were talking about yesterday, and Andy Cole said exactly the same thing. It's nothing new, is it?
No, it's nothing new, Richard. But in my case, in particular, it was was a little advantage. Sometimes beings they are created by small things. All right. So for me, dropping in those areas and having the possibility to receive the ball and have those 2 seconds in which I could turn and look forward gave me a big advantage, because they were the conditions in which I gave the best. No, I had those 2 seconds that give me the opportunity to move the ball and run at players. Instead of the players being on top of me straight away, I had those 2-3 seconds. It allowed me to run with the ball against the defenders. And then I could use my speed, my agility, my skills with the ball against the strong defenders. Very good in the air, very able to defend long balls, but not as good in defending on low balls. And that was the advantage. It gave me so many opportunities to improve. And when you have a little edge like that, Richard, you build up confidence in yourself. Also, the support and the teammates build up confidence in you. And it's something that it feeds itself. No, you get better and better, and the better you become, the stronger you are as a player. So I promise, especially the first year, it was a big bonus for me, and it gave me. Said that
the speed of the
push
game.
forward.
You say 2 seconds. 1, 2. Wow, that's not long to get a ball, receive, turn, look up. And
It is for him. It's a long time for somebody with Jan's skill.
No, but Richard, it's in football, and Andy can say that they can confirm that sometimes it's a reaction game. Now you have to be very quick in making decisions. No, sometimes, especially nowadays, if you see, sometimes you don't have those 2 seconds, because as soon as you receive the ball, you have already somebody on top of you. So you have to be good to making decisions quick. But of course, if you are used, like in Italy, if you are used to make a decision quickly, because in Italy it was very tight the game, and then you come and you have 2 seconds, it makes a big difference. I promise.
Do you have a favourite moment as a Chelsea player, Jan?
I know where you're going.
Well,
No. No. I'm just
That one.
yes, Andy. I think first FA Cup. First FA Cup, first of all, because it was a long time before Chelsea had won something, and so it was massive for all the Chelsea support. It was really, really big. So there is the one factor. The other factor is because it was a surprise for us. I've always said in Italy the Italian Cup is not considered very much. Many teams, they don't play they don't play the main team when it comes to those games. Is undervalued. The FA Cup. So when we played the FA Cup, I remember myself and also the other Italians, Gianluca and Roberto Di Matteo. We didn't expect to be all that attention or all that participation for the crowd, and it was a big surprise, a very positive one.
I thought you were going to say, Jan, it's one of the outstanding goals from that. You know the one I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one, Norwich, FA Cup, I think,
From the
Stamford
corner.
Bridge. But you talk about instinct. You didn't know you'd done that till you got home and saw it, did you?
Absolutely, you are totally right. That is one of those things in which he explains what is football about. You know, sometimes you have to make decisions very quickly, and those decisions, they come not by not thinking very much, but just doing it. You follow an instinct like I did that. I ran on the first post to intersect the ball with the head. Then the ball came very low, and instinctively I tried to do something that I imagined many times, million times in my mind before. I never did it. I was never able to do it, and I was never able to do it afterwards. But in that moment, yeah, I promise. Andy, they came to me a few times, an Italian crew and or an English one, and they said me, "Come on, Franco, we need to go and replicate the goal that you scored against against Norwich." It was quite embarrassing.
No, that's the genius of it, Franco, is that it
But
wouldn't be
it
genius. Yeah, it wouldn't be genius if you could do it every time, really.
Correct. That's a very good point.
What makes it genius is it was so unique and it's so difficult to replicate, and that for me was what made it extra special.
Was last
exactly.
season? Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying I've never been presumptuous enough to say, well, I've done that, I can do it anytime, because it doesn't work like that, at least in my case. But I'm honest enough to say I was very courageous to go in there and try, and it worked out very well when he had to be, we had to work, and I'm very proud of it.
Was last season, Jan, despite the success, you won trophies, was it as good as you wanted it to be, or in some ways, does it kind of shadow what you achieved there as a player? Because it was a very difficult 12 months, wasn't it?
Well, yes, it was very hard, as you can imagine, Richard. I think last year it's been as good as it could be, because first of all, we are in two teams that they were on a different level than us. So fair enough to say that Liverpool and Manchester City were ahead of us. So on top of that, we had a team that it was coming for a long tiring season the year before, and so we had to build up also a new system to play. And Sarri's way to play, it takes a little bit time to get better. If you go and back and research on Sarri, his teams, they do much better the second year. First year they do well, but not well enough. Second year they go better, because it's a system that is based on repetition, and it takes a little bit of time to get it done, and that's it. So I think went on, I think, better, but in the end, I have to say it's been a good result.
Jan, you mentioned one word there that as a footballer I kind of gone ooh. And did it go against Sarri? You used the word repetition. Now, footballers, like you know yourself, training, if you have repetition, you go in every day and you think, oh no, same again. Was that a problem for you in that first season with the boys?
Yes, absolutely, and that's one of the issues that we had to face during the year. We started at the beginning where the players, as I said, they were very much behind everything we were saying. They were brilliant. They were following everything. But then, as they passed, the repetition and also the amount of games that we were playing, the players got tired, and they got also, in a way, bored. But Andy, you know better than me, no? Yeah. Boring is part of our job. Sometimes you need to get bored.
Yes.
It's actually when you get bored and you persist in what you're doing that you get better. Because I remember that when I was learning to play football, maybe kicking a ball, I used to do it 300-400 times a day, at least. And there was a moment in which I get tired of that, but I needed to do it repeatedly, because if I wanted it to become a part of me, this was the process I needed to go through. And last year, there was a moment, especially the talented players, they like Hazard, they like William, players that they know how to win games on their own. They were suffering by the type of exercise, by the type of training that we're doing. But it was necessary for the others and for the whole organization. To be honest, Richard, they were brilliant, because they got bored, of course, and it was normal, but they kept doing it throughout the year. And that was the reason why, when everybody was dropping, we were going up towards the end.
There's good and bad news here. I wanted to talk about your World Cup career, but we need 7 minutes to do that. And there's only 5 left in the programme. So.
Jan, I'm sorry. He was always going to say that.
I know. I need to go now.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, listen. It was a season fraught with difficulties. Was he ever close to the sack, Sarri?
Yeah, I think so. Last year we played, I think it was early February, I think, when we played away in Cardiff. And the first time that the supporters turn against us. And it's the first time I heard that the supporters turning against somebody, a coach. We were basically losing 1-0 and it was going very bad. That's where the moment where I felt we were in danger, because situation wasn't good at that moment, and we were losing supporters against us. But then is when the players, they made a difference. Because I remember in the second half we introduced Hazard and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and immediately they changed the game for us.
Players that win games on their own, as you just said. Where we...
Yeah, definitely. But in that moment, if we didn't have the players behind, they could have let it go and probably would have been gone. But they fought and they did it very well. And from that moment, that was the moment in which we started to go up again. That was the crucial moment, actually.
That's extraordinary. That close.
That
really.
close. Ooh,
No,
then Jan could have taken over.
No.
No. He would have. I think he would have gone at that time. Jan, obviously a difficult time for everybody. You're not involved. None of us have been doing anything yet. But is it all over for you, or do you want to find your way back in again when you're able?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's a chapter that I closed completely. Although I decided to spend more time with the family, to dedicate other things that they were very important for me at this stage. But I keep an eye all the time. I keep trying to learn, to improve myself as a person, as a coach, because the job is become very challenging at the moment, and you need to be able to cope with a lot of stuff. Last year has been a great learning experience for me. And the level of coaching now that you need to have to be able to learn the coach in the Premier League is very high, Richard, and you need to be prepared for that.
Are you focused on being number one, or would you consider, like you were last year, Sarri's assistant, someone else's assistant, Jan, or would you come back as your own man?
No, I did it, the experience last year as a second coach, because, of course, I like Sarri's way of playing football very much, and also because we were the Chelsea. So if I go back to football, I think I'm going to go back as a number one.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Quite right. And stamp your authority on it. Jan, we miss you. We spent many, many happy hours with you here in Qatar. I'm sorry that's not still the case, but
Sardinia, the golf course is open, Jan.
Yeah, for quite a while, yes.
Good. You needed practice from my memory the last time you were here, so I'm pleased that you're playing a bit.
How many times did we play him?
Oh, we played him 6 times.
And how many times did we lose?
Once, yeah.
There's one fabulous occasion. I offered him the chance.
Yes.
Short putt he got.
Well, he had a 10-footer.
Mine was
25 feet.
And I said, "Oh, it's been a lovely day out. Do you want
a half?"
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He said, "No, I want to play it to a conclusion."
And what did you do?
Drop the putt in.
And what did he do?
He went home.
I cannot reply to this because it's true. So I have no weapons.
Enjoy Sardinia.
Thank you very much indeed. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and hopefully I'll see you soon there in Qatar.
Yeah,
okay?
we'd like to.
Yeah, we miss you.
Yeah.
We miss you.
When things settle, Jan, come back and see us again. It's been great. Thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, stay safe, Jan.
Okay.
Gianfranco Zola, lovely guy. But that's the reason I suppose I hesitated with the word nice. You said to me earlier, Ray Wilkins, these fellas, they are nice people, but they wouldn't be a success without the cutting edge that goes with.
And do you know what?
Pleasant.
When you're maybe sizist, But when you come into that game, this game, and you are a small footballer, you have to be super good. You have to be great technically. You have to have probably a greater mentality, because being 6'3" and hugely talented gives you an advantage against someone who's maybe 5'7" and hugely talented.
Were you brave or mad?
I've never considered myself brave, no.
So you did what Jan was talking about. You just put. There was at the time. We'll have to continue this on Monday.
Answer that question one word: mad.
We spend time on our own on Mondays, and we will be back here discussing. We'll be back here, I think, for the next 2 or 3 weeks until finally we start to watch some live football. And I am pleased that I can watch live football again. It's just not the football we were watching.
It won't be.
So I'll leave the final word to you.
Well, stay safe, everyone.
See you back here Monday.